Hello everyone, this is Cappy Pappy, back again with another speedrun of Find the Simpsons. Now, ever since I last played this game, the developers, Tem Productions, they updated the game for Halloween, which you'll see I'm going into right away. Now, what I'm doing right here is I'm collecting these pieces of candy. That's actually one of the main challenges of this area, grabbing enough candies so that you can progress to the next zones. Now, the trickiest part about that is that these candies, they're never always in one place. They are randomly generated throughout the map, so you really just have to explore every single nook and cranny in order to find each candy and progress. Now, I already mentioned this before, but they added new characters into this experience, so that means that my old speedruns don't really count anymore, because with only 154 characters I collected in there, I technically only collected part of them. So what I'm trying to say is just that those old speedruns, they aren't valid anymore. Now this part of the game is especially tricky because there are these rocks that can fall out of nowhere, and the candies are usually distributed in really bad places. It's really hard to find them when you're going through this particular ice map, but yeah, that's why you'll see I'm wasting a lot of time just looking for the candies. Now, aside from these rocks, there aren't too many threats here, except for that Maggie Halloween character. The 2D plane I picked up a while back is not it, but there is a 3D model of a Halloween Maggie that will pop up once in a while. You can tell she's gonna arrive thanks to the whispering voice clips. She usually pops up pretty close to you, but if you end up walking into her, she'll end up jump scaring you, and you have to reset the run entirely, because you'll be trapped back in spawn and you'll have to go through this whole challenge from the start. So nobody wants that. Thankfully you don't have to fight off the zombies a second time in order to go through this bridge, but overall it's a pretty challenging part of the game. Definitely the most challenging, I'd say. But once we finish that, we can pretty much just go throughout the entire speedrun as normal, starting off with going into the Bolorama and taking the 5 strikes. Now, like I've mentioned before, the reason I like to do this is because getting 5 strikes can be such a difficult challenge that I'll end up wasting more time than I want to. Like you'll see here, I end up doing pretty poorly at first. There's a lot of time wasted here. I can guarantee if you do absolutely perfect, you can shave a minute off of this speedrun at the least. Just can't get any of these shots, man. Now, if you've noticed, I've put myself in first-person view just for this bowling minigame. Now, the reason for that, I don't think it's 100% certain, but I do believe that if you put yourself in the first-person view, it's a lot easier to accurately aim your ball into the pins. That's why you see me making such subtle movements with my mouse. I just got that without aiming much at all. I think if you're really, really good at this game, you can just click the ball the moment that it hits the green instead of just waiting for it to come back. That could save at least a second off each throw. But I don't have those kind of reflexes, so what are you gonna do about it? Now this part is kind of embarrassing. when I go through the bowling alley obby, I end up failing at the last jump. And I have to go through the whole thing again. Yeah, this is a pretty crummy part of my run, but considering that I've hardly seen anybody else do a speedrun of this game, it's world record material. I just can't get that window no matter what. Yeah, I'm doing this again because of the 171 characters, which is funny because there's a lot of my videos on my channel now that are completely outdated because they don't show how you can get every single character in this game anymore. So that's always fun. Now luckily, despite the fact that I was doing so poorly at the bowling alley, I managed to get through this obby quite easy. I remember this was something I struggled a bit with in my last playthrough. Don't mind me, I'm just having something to drink. I've already explained this in my last few runs, but I'll say it again for anybody who's new to this channel. The reason I go through Homer and Flanders' houses is because there are a lot of triggers, like that alarm clock that activates the school. The Bible activates the church. Now, thankfully, both buttons to skip the scene are usually around this area. So you want to make sure throughout most of the run that you keep your mouse in that spot. There will be some exceptions, like just now I had to click on that dumbbell to reach the obby. But I do think in general, you want to keep the mouse in that bottom right corner. This part I'm proud of. I used the teleport to return to spawn early when going down to Bart Falls, because once you grab him, it's really hard to double jump your way out. It is possible, I've done it once or twice before, but it's really inconsistent. But thankfully, using that was a much easier way to save a few seconds, instead of just watching the death animation all the way through. Now once I've got the Simpsons and Flanders house, that really ends most of the planning that I had set. So throughout the rest of this run, you'll just see me going in a bunch of random spots that I know characters are in. I do wonder how much time you can save by doing a completely planned speedrun. But I honestly think that kind of takes the fun out of the experience. Just like going by which direction is best. Now, this is the part where I got unlucky. When I fall down to hell, I end up doing that bounce. I truly have no idea how to prevent it. I managed to get a clean fall in my first run, but I've never been able to replicate it since then. So we're entering the graveyard. Now I know this is a silly thing to nitpick about, but Tem Productions was talking about the graveyard update beforehand, so I was expecting them to add a bit more to this little area than they did. But you know, I can't judge. Game development is really difficult no matter what. I can barely code on a computer myself, so the fact that people are able to make all this is just incredible. Okay, see, I went through that obby pretty easily, but For any newcomers who want to replicate the speedrun, will definitely have a lot more trouble finding it to be completed, so you're gonna want to try that at least as one of the first things. We talked over this, but as you saw, the new Ant-Man spawn was placed right by Kyle's head. That was by far the hardest character for me to find. I spent like, what, 10 minutes asking everybody in the server, hey, where's Ant-Man? It's just funny. There's not much else I can say about this run in particular, so I might as well talk about some of the things that also involve this channel. I've recently got this emulator to play some PlayStation 2 games. I've also got Project 64 loaded up, and I do have this collection of like retro video games I could try to play through, but I'd have to wait until I grab a capture card, because there really is no way of me to record anything off my TV yet. I've mostly just been limited to whatever I can do on the PC. It's not like I played most of those games anyway. I usually just let my little brother play on the NES. Now this is one of the smaller editions, but I find it neat. In the movie set, you'll see they added a picture of the moon. Clicking on it will send you to space where you can grab that astronaut Homer. It's a really small thing, but I like it. It's one of the more famous Simpsons episodes, so I'm glad they put it in here. Yeah, even I'll admit this is not my peak performance in this game. I could definitely do a sub 20 if I really tried for like days on end, but I'm not sure if a sub 15 is even possible anymore, considering all that they added. Perhaps if some people are able to find some interesting exploits throughout this experience, that might be possible. But I don't know, this game is pretty much ironclad from what I've tried. Although there is this one thing that I found, which I'll get to later. But for now we're going through the nuclear power plant. Now this is interesting, Three Eyes Fish. A few years ago I picked up this book from the thrift store. It's this sort of TV guide with a collection of Simpsons episodes, like seasons 1 through 7 or 8. And on the sides of each episode's page, there's a biography of these certain characters. And they do have one of the fish. And it's, let me see, yeah, its name is Blinky, which is a fitting name, but still pretty funny nonetheless. And my little brother is in the home, but he's busy watching television, so that's why he's not here. Oh yeah, I saw this one video of another guy who was playing Find the Simpsons, and in the comments there was this little kid complaining about Eric Cartman and other South Park characters being in there, because South Park was like a really adult show. I mean, yeah, no duh. South Park's probably the raunchiest thing I'd ever seen. what the kid failed to realize that The Simpsons itself was also an adult sitcom. I think the people in the US actually threw a pretty big fit about it because the show challenged so many of the norms that the most conservative government at the time had set up. This part is also pretty tricky for new runners, so if you really want to put this up as one of your firsts, you can. Actually, I probably should do that, because the gun they put there activates the police station. So I think it would be best just to have all of Springfield opened up to you as soon as possible. So that way you don't have to backtrack, nothing like that. Now, one thing that did bum me out a little bit with this update is that the teleport map didn't really change at all. Because I was half expecting them to like add new ways that you can teleport to, for say, like the retirement castle or something like that, but fortunately they haven't added that in yet. So that kind of sucks for now, but you know what? Am I to complain? I haven't really made any video games yet. I am honestly just impressed that we're able to make video games as a whole. I still don't understand how computers function at their core. Like, I understand machine code and binary, but I don't know how a machine takes those binary and turns it into like a game such as this. Now this is something I'm kind of interested in. That method I suggested last video, where you go up like that to try to reach Sherry or Terry, did not work the way I thought it would. So really I think the only method you can do is just like grab Kang and then hope that when you fall down you grab him. I'm also surprised that that kid in the comments didn't bring up Bender from Futurama. Or did he? I'll have to check. I'll put up a little tag if I'm wrong or if I'm right. Now once again, spoiler warning if you're like still haven't watched Who Shot Mr. Burns in like the 30 years or so it's been since it was up. But Maggie shot Mr. Burns. Now, an interesting exploit I found here was that if you hit reset, I believe it was, I was really considering hitting reset. Your character will spawn at your spawn point. The cutscene will still be going on, but you'll be able to move your character freely from one of the spawn areas. Now, of course, I could try to do that, but in order to do so, I need to memorize exactly where I come from, where I'd have to go. And there are 4 different spawn points you can have set. So you'd have to have 4 different routes set up, and I don't think I have that kind of patience to map out something like that. So for now, I'm just like biting the bullet and just watching through the cutscenes. There was this thing I saw before where if you try to double jump and you're activating that Frankenstein cutscene, it ends up playing early, so you save a little bit of time, but it's not something I've been able to reproduce, so if any of you aspiring glitch hunters out there want to try helping me out, well, I'm always there. This is around the point where I realized that I left out the retirement castle. See the index. They changed it from the PDF to the index, which I actually don't mind at all. It's actually a much better name. You know, looking back, I'm starting to think maybe I should have just gone straight from the Simpsons house to the Springfield castle. because that would have saved me like a little bit of time. Because I wasted a bit of time teleporting to the nuclear plant, grabbing Bart, and teleporting back to the Simpsons house and walking all the way to the castle. But thankfully, I managed to get a perfect color puzzle strat, so that saves quite a bit of time. Now this part I still don't understand. First I mess up by pressing the I right at the end. I was really angry at myself. But for some reason, when I get the name right, like you see there, it still didn't set it up as correct. I didn't understand why, but my guess is that you don't want to leave the board until you've completed every letter. For example, you don't want to leave the checkerboard bit when you're at BAR. You want to have it as BART, and then you can leave. This is awful. I forgot to grab the bye-bye flower, so later on in this run you're going to see me spending a lot of time running to grab that. But this is awful too. I decided for some reason that I'd make a complete U-turn around the theater instead of just like doing a 180 going back the way I went. But hey, at least in doing so I managed to grab Bumblebee Man by complete accident. Didn't even know he was there. I don't know why that audio glitch keeps happening. It didn't happen last time, but it happened the first time. I've really got to figure that out. But see, I went through the index when traveling through this ice path. I think now is the optimal time for you to do such a thing. Because there's really not much to focus on when you're doing this ice path. So that gives you plenty of time to see which characters you could be missing. For example, I learned that I forgot to grab the monkey and Krusty on top of the theater. So that's what I'm doing right now. Let's see how much time it takes me to grab the flower from the retirement castle. You see that's a lot of time. And I don't know why I tried to go into most to grab that Bart phone call character. But yeah, there's a lot of time wasted in this particular run. So I think I need to set up something a bit more refined in order to truly call this a speedrun. Because I can't really call this much of a speedrun, more just like a standard Let's Play. Probably should be playing Find the Simpsons as much as I did. But hey, it got me a lot of views, so I guess that's encouraging. I do notice that a lot of my newer videos aren't getting quite the traffic as my old one, which is absolutely insane. Like that first one got, what, like 82,000 views? And I know the YouTube algorithm likes me to say this, but if you really like this content, like and subscribe and all that, blah blah blah. Maybe I'll be more convinced to do this. Well, probably not. I mostly just do this all for fun. But with that, that's all 171 characters. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you later.